I don't know whether I should laugh or cry over the entire situation that's been unfolding these past 6 weeks. As I stand here at 23, I've never quite felt my life slip into something so surreal and soap opera-like. Work was supposed to be predictable, my friendship stable, and my engagement to Elliot a calming, steady presence in my chaotic world. Now everything's tilted off its axis. Let me start from the beginning. Try to make sense of how I ended up in the middle of this storm involving a coworker, his newborn daughter, a suspicious paternity accusation, and a web of mistrust, lies, and downright lunacy. I've known Robert for 4 years. We both work in the same factory, a place that smells like metal and oil, where the repetitive chug of machinery drowns out small talk unless you shout. I started at 19, eager to earn my own living and pay for night classes toward an eventual degree. Robert, now 32, had been there a few years longer, and he was one of the first to show me the ropes, how to handle certain equipment without losing a finger, where to get the freshest coffee on the third shift. We fell into a comfortable friendship, grabbing a beer after work sometimes, teasing each other about nonsense. He was older, married to his high school sweetheart Danielle, and already had 4 boys at home. Blonde, tanned, freckle-free boys who were the spitting image of their father. He bragged about how strong his genes were, how he couldn't believe Danielle's red hair and freckles never made an appearance. It was a running joke, his absolute pride in passing down his dominant traits to all his children. Then, Danielle gave birth to their first daughter, Chelsea, 2 months ago. I'd known Danielle tangentially, met her a few times at company picnics and holiday gatherings. She's a petite redhead with bouncy curls, a scattering of freckles, and fair skin that burns easily. Robert used to joke about how he married a redhead but never got a redheaded child, as if he found it amusing. When I visited them at home to meet Chelsea at 2 weeks old, I was smitten by how cute she was. A tiny being with a full head of bright red hair already starting to curl, and pale skin that would need sunscreen from day one. I made a silly remark upon seeing Chelsea. As a fellow redhead with long curly red hair myself, I jokingly said, "Oh my God, it finally happened. The red is alive." It was meant to be a fun, dramatic declaration of victory for Danielle's genetics. Robert, rather than joining in the humor, made a weird comment about not counting on the red hair staying. He said something about his genes being strong. Danielle rolled her eyes, and I thought it was just an odd, off-color remark. I let it go. But as weeks passed, Robert grew increasingly strange whenever Chelsea came up. She was about 5 weeks old when he started complaining daily at work about how little of himself he saw in her. He kept harping on how different she looked from him and her brothers. He'd say, "It's like looking at a stranger's kid." Or, "Where are my genes?" This can't be right. At first I tried sympathy, then I tried gentle logic. Genetics aren't a menu you can order from. Danielle has red hair and freckles. Of course it can happen that a child would favor her more. But the more I tried to reassure him, the more he zeroed in on me as if I were covering something up. Things took a turn 3 days ago. Robert came to work in a foul mood, lashing out at anyone who crossed him. On break, our mutual friend Jesse confronted him, asking what was wrong. Robert exploded, calling his wife a cheating whore who wouldn't admit it. He claimed he knew exactly who she'd slept with to produce this red-headed baby. Then, turning to me, he pointed and demanded I step outside. I sat there stunned. I'm openly gay, have a fiancé named Elliot I've been with for years, and my car in the parking lot is covered in pride stickers. Yet Robert was looking at me with pure fury in his eyes, insisting I was the father of his daughter. My first instinct was to laugh because the accusation was so absurd, but laughter only fueled his anger. He screamed, calling me out, wanting a fight. I refused, trying to be rational, asking him what on earth made him think that. He said he was not stupid, that he'd seen how close I am to Danielle, that I've always been too friendly with her. In truth, I am friendly with Danielle. She's part of a group of girlfriends I hang out with from time to time. 5 women and me, the token gay friend, going out for artsy events, trying new cafes, or just chatting about life. None of that remotely implies I'd be intimate with Danielle. I repeated that I'm gay, engaged to a man, and I have zero interest in women sexually. He demanded I pay for a paternity test to prove him wrong. He insisted he wouldn't pay for one himself since he already knew the truth. At that point, I told him if he's so sure he should get a paternity test himself. He refused. Things escalated until our shift manager came in, breaking the tension. I left that day shaking my head, heart pounding. Later, I texted Danielle telling her what happened. She was horrified, apologized, and said she'd handle it. The next day, my day off, I woke up to missed calls and messages from Robert threatening me further. He'd called Elliot's phone, too. Got his number from Danielle's or from some saved contact somewhere. Elliot already knew the story from me, so he ignored Robert's nonsense. Danielle texted me to say she was kicking Robert out, that she'd arrange a paternity test, and that she's considering divorce. She insisted she had no idea why he was acting like this, that he must have lost his mind. But when I got back to work, the atmosphere had changed. My coworkers, who'd known me for years, were giving me the cold shoulder. They said they didn't think I was the dad, for sure, but I was a trash friend for telling Danielle about Robert's accusations. They believed I should have just quietly agreed to a test without involving her, to not stir up drama. I was enraged. I didn't create this drama. Robert did by accusing me of fathering his child. Yet now I was the scapegoat. That evening, I called Amber, my fiancée, and explained the hostility at work. He told me people are often cowardly and side with whoever shouts the loudest, at least until the truth comes out. He encouraged me to hold my ground. Just then, Danielle texted, "They scheduled the paternity test for Thursday. With lab backlogs, results might take longer than usual. I promised Danielle I'd fully cooperate. I had nothing to hide." The next day at work, I tried to talk to a few coworkers to understand their sudden flip. Turns out Robert's paranoia has been brewing for months. He'd been hinting to them that I was too close to Danielle, that I didn't act gay enough, as if orientation comes with a manual. He told them lies about seeing me kiss Danielle or that we were caught alone at their place late at night. None of it true, but lies repeated often enough gain traction. They now think I must have done something suspicious for Robert to be so certain. It got worse. I learned that Robert had installed hidden cameras all over his house, bookcases in the living room, kitchen cabinets, maybe even the bedroom. He'd been watching Danielle's gatherings with her friends and me, listening to our private conversations, saving them too, according to rumors. I was horrified. We'd discussed personal matters there. Some of my friends in that girlfriend group confided secrets they wouldn't want anyone else to know, let alone Robert or potentially his extended family. That's beyond creepy. It's a violation. I confronted Danielle by phone asking if she knew about these cameras. She cried on the other end, admitting that he'd grown suspicious 2 years ago, installing cameras for security but really using them to spy on her. She apologized over and over, saying she was scared to tell us because Robert controlled everything, her phone, her texts, her social media. She's basically been monitored 24/7. My heart sank. I'm furious at Robert, but also disappointed in Danielle for not giving us a heads up. If these cameras had audio, he might have recordings of me and others discussing sensitive personal issues. That's a ticking time bomb. I pressed Danielle. Did she know about his attempts to isolate her, his controlling behavior? Yes, she said quietly. She'd been caught between a rock and a hard place, financially dependent, with children to care for, fearful of losing her home. She thought maybe if she gave him time or another child, he'd trust her again. Another child? That baby daughter he's now disowning in his mind? My stomach churned. This was a cycle of abuse, or at least severe emotional manipulation. I demanded to know if she told anyone else about the cameras. She said no, she hadn't even told her closest friends because she feared Robert would find out. She was stuck in survival mode, and I tried to understand her perspective. Still, I felt betrayed. We poured our hearts out in her living room during girls' nights, never knowing we were under surveillance. This was more than a paternity test issue now. It was about privacy, trust, and safety. When I told Danielle she had to warn the others about the cameras and the potential that Robert recorded and saved intimate conversations, she hesitated. She insisted Robert wouldn't hurt anyone by sharing the videos, that he wasn't that cruel. I reminded her that he tried to physically fight me at work, that he's spreading lies and his family is slandering Danielle and me all over social media. I pointed out that he is indeed that cruel, or at least capable of it in his current state of mind. Eventually, Danielle agreed she must tell the others. I heard through the grapevine the next day at lunchtime how that went. The other women were furious. Two of them immediately blocked Danielle. They fear what Robert might do with the videos if pushed. One of them had shared secrets that could destroy her relationships if made public. Now everyone feels violated and unsafe, questioning if they can ever trust Danielle again. She hid this from them, exposing them to Robert's voyeuristic scrutiny. I see now how Robert's paranoia has not only broken his marriage but also fractured our friend group. Danielle's loyalty to her marriage over our friendship, while understandable in a context of fear, still hurts. I understand the desperation, but I can't help feeling angry that she let us walk into a trap without a warning. If we'd known, we could have avoided certain topics, protected ourselves. The paternity test is scheduled, and I'm dreading the wait for results. But deep down, I know the outcome. I'm not the father. I'm gay, for goodness sake. I'm engaged to Elliot, whom I love dearly and have never cheated on. The idea that Robert has convinced himself otherwise is both laughable and terrifying. He's let his insecurities spin out into full-blown delusion. Even if the test proves me innocent, what then? Will he apologize? Or will he find another excuse to hate me? Meanwhile, Elliot's been my rock. I got home yesterday to find he'd prepared my favorite meal, a quiet, candlelit dinner just to calm my nerves. I love that man so much. He told me not to worry about Robert's nonsense. He said once the test is done, we'll have legal grounds if Robert tries to defame me further. Elliot's family, however, is now caught in this drama. They're hearing whispers on Facebook about me fathering a coworker's baby and are confused. Elliot tries explaining, but rumors are hard to kill. I'm grateful my own family supports me fully. They know I'd never cheat, never cross that line. Robert's family is a nightmare. They're posting vile stuff about Danielle and me, calling me some slur-filled names, accusing me of being a homewrecker, and mocking me for what they call a reverse beard situation, implying I pretended to be gay to get close to Danielle. It's absurd and would be laughable if it weren't hurting everyone around me. Danielle's stuck in the middle, pregnant and stressed. I feel bad for her, even though I'm angry at her silence about the cameras. No one deserves this. At work, tension is palpable. Some coworkers avoid me entirely, as if I might explode into drama at any moment. Others whisper when I pass by. A few remain neutral, waiting for the test results. I go about my tasks mechanically, focusing on getting through the day without confrontation. Sometimes I catch myself holding back tears in the restroom, overwhelmed by the betrayal and cruelty, the loss of normalcy. I have a few more sessions of therapy lined up. My therapist tries to help me see this as temporary chaos, that once the truth is revealed, many will realize they sided with a madman's accusations. But I'm not so sure. Trust is hard to rebuild, even among colleagues. I also worry about Danielle's future. If Robert was willing to do all this, spying, lying, attacking, will he become more dangerous if proven wrong? Will Danielle actually proceed with divorce if his behavior doesn't improve? The idea that she might stay with him after all this horrifies me, but it's her choice, her life. I'm also furious about the cameras. That's a massive violation. The others in the friend group are anxious he might have recorded things that could ruin their lives if shared. I can't help but think I should get a lawyer just in case. I'm innocent of these accusations, but I don't trust Robert not to escalate further. If he loses Danielle, might he lash out at me and my friends by posting something private and humiliating? I've started documenting everything, saving screenshots of threats, voicemails, and messages. Danielle says he's no monster, but I can't rely on her judgment anymore. Last night, I finally broke down sobbing in Elliot's arms. I just cried for what felt like hours, letting the fear, anger, confusion, and hurt pour out. He held me, stroking my hair, telling me we'll get through this. I know he's right. Even if I have to quit this job and find another somewhere else, I'll survive. The important thing is that I stay true to myself, fight for my own truth, and protect the people I care about. Today, it's Tuesday and I'm at home, taking a personal day. Danielle texted me earlier saying she's sorry again and that she did tell the other women about the cameras. She said they're all furious and probably won't trust her for a long time. She's devastated at losing her friends, her marriage on the brink, her husband's behavior exposed as controlling and paranoid, and me angry with her too. I almost feel pity. She's pregnant, stressed, and alone. Still, I can't ignore my own pain and the pain he's caused me. In a few days, I'll go for the paternity test. I'm dreading the awkwardness of sitting there, letting them swab my cheek for DNA, knowing this is a circus orchestrated by Robert's delusions. Once the results come out, I'll have proof. I imagine walking into work, holding a folder with the test results, showing it to those who doubted me. Will they apologize or just look away, ashamed? As for Robert, I have no idea how he'll react. He might double down on his madness, claiming the test was faked. He might realize his error and break down crying. Maybe he'll vanish in humiliation. I don't know. I stopped trying to predict his behavior. Elliot suggests we celebrate once this is all cleared up. Maybe a small trip to the coast for a weekend, just to reset and enjoy life away from all this drama. I think that's a good idea. I need to remember there's a world outside these scandals, a world where people don't accuse innocent coworkers of fathering their children and record their wives and friends like lab specimens. I'm just typing all this out now, trying to make sense of it. The twisted logic, the paranoia, the ugly social media posts, the unraveling of trust among friends, it's heavy. But I feel a tiny spark of hope. The truth will come out. I haven't done anything wrong. I have a fiancé who loves me, a supportive family, and integrity I refuse to compromise. In the end, maybe this will just be a bizarre chapter in my life story, something I'll tell years down the line with a mix of disbelief and bittersweet amusement. Until then, I'm holding my breath, waiting on Thursday's test and the stormy aftermath that will surely follow. Maybe after that I can laugh instead of cry, relieved that at least my conscience is clean and the truth is on my side.